Hey guys, this is Mike from Deepwood Force of Will, coming at you with a quick addendum to our ruler guide. No Joe today, because this is going to be a pretty short video, but this is episode 3.5 of our ruler guide, going over cards given out at the Ascension campaign. These are edits to cards that were seen in Seven Kings of the Land, the Twilight Wanderer, and the Moonlit Savior, and it just so happens that these are the cards that we rated the lowest on each of those guides. So, Force of Will had tried to amend what they did with the older cards, tried to make them a little better and make them more playable, so without further ado, let's just get into it. Starting off with Persija, who got a pretty decent buff. It's pretty interesting. Persija is, the ruler side is now Persija, friend to the animals. It's a human/beast instead of a Seven Kings. That'll come up later. That'll be a very important thing to think about. She still has Judgment for 2. She comes with Energize for 1, so all these rulers come with Energize, so that's pretty big, because none of the other cards from Alice Cluster have that. She gains the name Persija the Beast Lady, so all of these rulers also gain the names of whoever else they were with. You may pay the attribute of 4 Sacred Beast Resonators with Will of any attribute. That was straight from the old Persija. And then pay 2 to choose one, and either give your beasts +1/+1 until end of turn, or give 4 Sacred Beasts you control +1/+1, +100/+100 until end of turn. That's pretty big, because the old Persija only gave one selected Resonator that buff, so it's pretty cool. She can buff up a lot of things really well. This is an aura effect, so it also applies to her other side since she is a human/beast, which is pretty cool. And speaking of which, going into that other side, she's now 1,000,000 instead of an 800/800, which is pretty solid. 1,000,000 body for 2 mana is nothing to shake a stick at. She is Persija, Champion of Yggdrasil. She still maintains that human beast tagline. Important note to make is that you cannot, I repeat, you cannot use this Persija with Valentina 2.0, since she is not a Seven Kings Resonator. She might still have the name Persija, the Commander of the Sacred Beasts, but since she's not a Seven Kings Resonator, you can't use her God's Art from this side. So make sure you have this, but also have the other Persija. That's a very important distinction to make. She still maintains the gaining precision, swiftness, flying, and +2/+2, as long as you control a Resonator of a specific attribute. And her God's Art is pretty much the exact same thing. You search your deck for up to X 4 Sacred Beasts by paying 3 Wind and 1 X. Reveal them, put into your hand, then put up to that many into your field. So again, she's pretty much a carbon copy of the old Persija with the added stats and the new Human Beast race tagline. While this does give her a slight nerf to the Valentina thing, where you're going to need to have both Persijas, which is going to be pretty annoying for some people, the fact that she's a human/beast on both sides, and because technically speaking you control your ruler and you control your J-ruler, means that Ywain, Knight of Lions, always comes in as an 800/800 that deals 200 damage to each Resonator, along with having Swiftness and First Strike. So basically, if you're playing a red aggro deck with Persija, with this new Persija, you're basically playing a deck with Knights of the Round Table, and you essentially have 8 Lancelots. That's pretty huge, and we're definitely going to see some aggro builds with her. Will they be top tier? They probably won't be able to outpace the Featsing deck, but this deck is going to be really strong, especially for casual environments. So with that being said, we have to give the new Persija a B-. Big buff with the fact that she can give Ywain all these extra buffs, and she makes aggro decks really good with her, but losing the Seven Kings and the fact that nothing really changed besides the stat boost means that she didn't really gain too much, but the implications for her are really good, and we see her as something that has a lot of potential going forward for aggro decks. Moving on, we've got Alice, the Ally Fairies, and Alice, Paladin of Unwavering Hope. This is a redeemed version of the old Fairy Alice, the one that we ragged on for having a Judgment of 8 and no other effects on her front side. This time they bumped it down to 7, and you can pay one less to play this for each fairy you control. Which is definitely somewhat significant, because 7 fairies is much easier to get onto your board than 8 fairies, because, you know, hand size and limitations of that regard. And she also comes with an Energize of 1 light, that is. So you can turbo into her, you can use that extra will to pay for stuff, to pay for your fairies. She's pretty cool in that regard. I don't see this as a huge buff, but it's definitely appreciated. Also, fun fact is that she's a Wanderer here. And then her other side is Alice, Paladin of Unwavering Hope. Instead of a 9/9 with flying, she's an 11/11 with flying. Now, 11/11 is definitely a good stat spread. We've seen Zero having that 11/11 stat spread, and surprisingly it's hard to take down just because 500 damage spells are plentiful, and dealing that extra 100 sometimes isn't that easy. So she's a Queen and Fairy. She has flying, as I said before. She gains the name, of course. When she enters your field, recover all fairies you control. Because she is a fairy, if somehow she comes to play tapped, which probably won't happen unless unless an effect is used, she will untap herself, which is kind of cool. And her God's Art only costs 1 now, which is really good, especially with that Energize. So again, it's the field buff, and you search your deck for Excalibur the Spirit God Sword, again, and put it into your field. And again, Excalibur the Spirit God Sword is not a very good card. It's just kind of an extra mana production card. So, all in all, nothing really changed on Alice besides costs and stats. But we didn't see a lot of growth with this card. It's just a kind of a beefed up version of the older one. So with that being said, we gave her a C. She's not bad. We bumped her up a letter grade from the old one, but definitely not exactly the changes we would like to see, but still very welcome changes. It's always welcome to have stat buffs and price increases for cards to make them more suitable to competitive play, and that's pretty much what Alice is. I've already ordered a bunch of Vivians, so I'm ready to play this card, give her a try, so I look forward to playing with her in the future. And our last card on the list is Acolyte of the Abyss, also Allosaurus, the Demon of Calamity. Allosaurus kind of got the biggest change out of all of them from what I've seen. Technically, Persija got that typing change, which was pretty huge for specific roles, but Allosaurus just has so much going for him now. First of all, his front side is now a Judgment of 12, where it's only 1 of that is a guaranteed Fire Will, and then it's 11 of any other will, and you may pay 1 less to play this ability for each card in your removed area. So first of all, it starts off reducing the cost at a lower rate, and you can Judgment for as low as 1 instead of as low as 2. It also comes with Energize, so definitely welcome changes to Allosaurus, definitely helps ramping into him. And then we see the other side. His stats are the same, 1,000, still a wizard, gains his name, and when he enters the field, you search your deck for a card named Blazing Metropolis, Veil Savaria, and put it into your field. Oh! That's what we were anticipating for Allosaurus when we saw he was getting the buff. We had mentioned in our video that getting a 4-mana spell to your hand with the old Allosaurus just was not worth it at all. It made the Judgment seem like it was a moot point. Getting it for free as a reward for waiting patiently throughout the game to get to this big Judgment, that's pretty sick. And Blazing Metropolis is a lot of value. You'll see a little bit of contradiction later, but it's a lot of value to get. Just make sure you don't draw the card. It still maintains the Resonators you control, gains swiftness, precision, and first strike. Would have been interesting to see that be J Resonators, but that might have made him a little too good. Well, that remains to be seen, though. And then his God's Art now only costs 3. It's 3 fire now, though. It's the same as it was. Deals 100 damage for each card in your removed area, then put any number of cards in your removed area into your graveyard. So he's base essentially the same thing, just getting more value at the start of it and does it for cheaper. Kind of a similar way to Fairy Alice, except he also gets that added bonus of having Veil Savaria. So really cool. And now we're going to quickly go over Blazing Metropolis Veil Savaria. This is the card that he gets out for free. It's a 4-mana card, so it's a lot of value. Fire, spell, chant instant cards in your graveyard gain Remnant. This also applies to chants with quick cast and chants without quick cast. So you can activate them from the grave once he's on the board by paying their will cost. It's pretty sick. And then if a card will be put into your graveyard from anywhere, remove from the game instead. Now, going back to his God's Art though. There's a little bit of anti-synergy here because the God's Art puts things back into the graveyard, but Blazing Metropolis will immediately remove them from the grave again. So a little bit of anti-synergy there, but at the same time, it's still a lot of value to get out of him. So keep that in mind when building the new Allosaurus. You're getting a whole lot of value, you're getting a lot of utility with this card. Again, just don't draw it, or if you do draw it, just sack up the Guinevere. You know what to do. You play fire decks. And yeah, because of that, we've bumped Allosaurus up a letter grade as well. We've given him B-. We can definitely expect to see some Allosaurus mid-range or control style decks coming up soon. Will they be able to, again, they be able to outpace and outmaneuver the Featsing and Mikage decks that have been swarming the metagame? Probably not, but it'll be really nice to have them there. It'll be really nice to be able to play with them this coming January. Quick note, again, the Ascension campaign rulers won't be illegal until January 1st, 2017. Keep that in mind. These will not be available for play until then, but until then, this has been Mike from Deepwood Force of Will. Thanks for watching. We're really excited about the Ascension campaign. We're excited to see buffs for these rulers. We're excited to see what Force of Will is capable of, and it's really nice to see Force of Will interacting with their audience. And it's really nice to know that they're listening and that they've heard our pleas. They've heard us say, we want these cards to be good. And guess what? They're good now.